affiliated assets in the region. In the past, they have stated that they would target ships or vessels tied to Israel, especially if they were in or near Yemeni waters or the Red Sea. Furthermore, Hassan talks about the Houthi strategy, which Ethan twists around. He takes it out of context.
They're coming in hot with guns. Yeah, but you have to understand, this is a deterrence. Israeli society is going to start getting upset. They're going to be like, I can't get my treats. I can't get my Amazon Prime deliveries. What the is going on? I hate this. Israel sucks. I'm leaving Israel. That's the goal.
I find it disturbing that Hassan thinks that a slowdown of imports is going to cause Jews to flee Israel. 80% of Israelis were born there and do not have citizenship anywhere else. So where do you want them to go, Hassan? Back to Poland or back to the Arab country?
Just a thing that I didn't say at all, but I'm glad that, you know, he's like, oh, I guess you want all the Jews to die in the Holocaust again, I guess. Like, the fuck? No. Israel sucks. I'm leaving Israel. That's the goal.
By telling the Jews of Israel to go back where they came from, Hassan attempts to deny Jewish heritage in the Middle East. It characterizes them not as
Jewish heritage of the Middle East, genocidal apartheid state. That is single-handedly a more anti-Semitic statement than anything that I could have ever said. Okay? Yeah, the Jewish heritage in the Middle East is just like doing fucking genocide of the Palestinians. Like, what an insane thing. Yeah, I think he got you good, bro. You didn't even say or hint towards the word Jew, but he still picked out you saying Jew. He's just that good. He's just imagining me doing that. And it's funny because, like, if only Ethan knew what my perspective was on the matter, let's think. Oh, that's right. He knows I'm a one-stater. He knows that I want a secular state there. He knows that I want to afford all rights to the Palestinians that live there and also a right to return to the Palestinians. These are all perfectly moral, perfectly justifiable positions. Except the problem is, if he were to reveal that that is my position, he would have to also reveal to his audience that he has said that that would mean genociding all Jews in his mind. He thinks that giving Palestinians rights is the equivalent of genociding all Jews in Israel. That's what he thinks. He has literally said it. It's not like Mr. I'm pro-Palestine hasn't said these things. He has openly said these things.
Indigenous, but as white colonizers. This is despite the fact that 60% of Jews in Israel are actually native to the Middle East.
The part where Hassan talks...
native to the Middle East. Not even native to the Middle East, okay? The MENA region. All the way, that spans all the way to fucking the Levant. Now, historically speaking, how did Jewish people get there? That's a great question. You know, obviously, it's because under the Ottoman Empire, the Ottoman Empire was considered a much safer, a safe haven for Jewish people. And secondly, native to the MENA region doesn't mean native to historic Palestine, okay? Native to the MENA region does not mean native to Palestine. Jews are not monolithic, and neither are all Arabs.
About what led to the Houthi attack is left out by Ethan entirely because it is not quite convenient for Ethan to have Hassan cover a story about an act of resistance against Israel when trying to make Hassan look bad.
And they're coming in hot with guns. Yeah, but you have to understand, this is a deterrence, right? So, like, their goal is to film it and show it to the world so, like, other companies that don't want to risk having this happen to their product, having this happen to their ships, literally are like, okay, we're not going to use the trade route anymore. All of a sudden, if you don't use the trade route, trade gets more expensive for the West. All of a sudden, if you can't use that trade route, the Israeli port is going to get bankrupt. Israel is not going to be able to get the materials in time that they, which has happened, by the way. One of the two Israeli ports have gotten bankrupted. Need for waging their war. Israeli society is going to start getting upset. They're going to be like, I can't get my treats. I can't get my Amazon Prime deliveries. What the fuck is going on? I hate this. Israel sucks. I'm leaving Israel. That's the goal. The goal is to be like, yeah, your shit sucks. Okay, well then stop, doing genocide in Gaza.
And it's funny, Ethan always talks about how comments and donations won't help Palestine and the cause.
Creators for Palestine raised $1.6 million. That's fantastic. Literally negligible. They've received billions of fucking dollars. It's a good thing. Has $1.6 million had an outcome on anything happening in Gaza? Absolutely fucking not. Let's talk about real activism. Let's talk about enacting meaningful change. Total fucking failures.
Well, I wonder if this is a more fitting way to help the cause for Ethan. Also, here are a couple of examples of ships changing or hiding their route and destination. The Wise Honest, a North Korean cargo ship, was seized by the US in 2019 for attempting to smuggle coal. It had attempted to conceal its route and destination to evade detection. Chinese fishing vessels have been found employing North Korean crews, violating UN sanctions. These crews were concealed and transferred between ships to avoid detection, indicating deliberate misrepresentation of crew compositions and potential destinations. Ethan wraps up this section by trying to take away the legitimacy of Hassan's words.
And they tell the people in the ship, usually like mostly Filipino people, Filipino crews, and they're like, we got no problems with you, but you're coming with us. We're taking over the ship.
What an incredible way to characterize having a gun in your face. Hassan is asking us not to believe our own eyes as we watch terrorists hostilely kidnap the crew.
Is Hassan asking you not to believe your own eyes? Was it not enough to stay true to the facts, that they indeed most likely captured the ship in international waters, but near their controlled territory? A year-long hostage situation for a seafarer is hard enough as it is. Did Ethan have to make sure to misrepresent facts in order to manipulate perceptions and strengthen his own argument? It would certainly help in appearing on the high ground and convincing others more easily, wouldn't it? This entirely unneeded situation was made more dramatic so people will finally side with him against his personal warfare against his nemesis, Hassan. One case of Ethan Klein taking it upon himself to push an unchecked claim as fact is one where he alleges that a rescued Israeli hostage was continually during her captivity under Hamas. He uses this story in his Hassan Piker content nuke as a narrative. But there's just one problem. Nowhere in her interview does she say this. She never once stated she was sexually assaulted. Yet, Ethan presents this as undeniable truth. Denims, a Twitch streamer that watched this segment of Ethan's content nuke live on Twitch, she questions the claim.
Wait, wasn't this disproven?
Oh.
Was this clip from her disproven? Is he going to play the clip of her?
This clip of her.
But Ethan, instead of reassessing facts and claims, he reacts.
How do you disprove firsthand testimony? First of all, she's a fucking bitch. Shame on you. Fuck you. How dare you? You say you fucking.
No, he's wokely calling Denims a bitch. You don't understand. He's wokely calling her a bitch.
Support women, and you sit here and you fucking giggle and laugh at this girl who was raped, and then immediately you say, I believe all women, and they say, oh, wasn't she lying? This whole fucking thing is so hard for Israelis to process it. You're not going to fucking acknowledge what just happened? She will, to say that she's lying. This is a disgusting human being. She's a vile fucking piece of shit. This entire movement is rotten to the core. It is a joke. And yes, she is a fucking bitch. Somebody that laughs in the face of other fucking rape victims and immediately calls them liars, that's a fucking bitch of a person.
Okay, before I continue, since this is such a sensitive topic, I try not to put too much of my own words and just stay true to known facts and information that exist. The girl in the interview, which was part of a documentary about women who talk about their experiences as hostages, some of them talk about sexual assault, but this woman in particular did not, nor has she ever stated in any interview that she experienced. So Denims is not incorrect here. Ethan saying she was a victim of being continually is just wrong. Ethan does not and cannot have any proof for those statements because there is no proof. And by the way, this woman experienced harassment after her release as a hostage. Some Israelis seem to have found her to talk too kindly about her experience as a hostage and became a target on her own social media platforms.
Yeah, that's the other side of the story. Is that Israeli society is particularly vicious to even Israeli hostages that then will turn around and say like, yeah, I mean, I was more so victimized by the Israeli government when they were blowing up the house that I was in. Like, this has been a consistent testimony from a lot of the hostages, is that because this was, the leverage point that the Palestinian resistance groups had, that they would try to do everything in their fucking power to basically defend the hostages. Not because they like love Israelis or anything, just because like this is a bargaining chip for them.
Ethan is not only re-traumatizing a former hostage by falsely claiming she was a victim of sexual assault, but he's also using a hostile rhetoric to silence anyone who challenges him. He paints Denims as a villain.
First of all, she's a fucking bitch. Shame on you. you.
misrepresents her reaction at this moment, and smears her image.
Somebody that laughs in the face of other fucking victims and immediately calls them liars, that's a fucking bitch of a person.
All because she didn't agree with his claim. He also completely distorts her words. He now claims that Denims called this woman a liar, which she did not.
Wait, wasn't this disproven?
In reality, the only person spreading lies in this situation is Ethan. His refusal to engage in constructive dialogue or acknowledge the truth fosters an environment where misinformation thrives. His unverified and false claims not only damage his credibility, but also encourage a toxic culture in his community, where anyone who disagrees with him is targeted. Another case of Ethan and Hila twisting the narrative to how they see fit is one where Hila's potential collaboration with an artist was rejected for reasons unspecified.
The artist I wanted to collaborate with decided, I don't want to be associated because I'm Israeli. Here's the quote. Sorry, I can't be associated with this company. Thanks for considering. I followed them for years, always.
Like that. I heard that he was blaming me for this too. Like I never made a statement on any of this shit. And apparently it was an artist that worked with them before, no?
Always supported them, and I have an ongoing painting of his at my house. And this is the result of Hassan's type of activism. Should I out him, Hila?
I don't know is it morally okay to say who he is. Whatever you guys think, I don't care.
What an asshole response to, like, it's almost like he's, yeah, and by the way, like, he doesn't even dignify you with the response of, like, it's like, no, I can't fucking be associated with this company.
I'm just annoyed because it's not the first one. There's another person right now that is doing the same thing to me, somebody that I'm already working with.
This is a result of Hassan's activism. This is what it resounds to. Alienation, hate, racism, and zero.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, bro. I didn't get you to fucking spend every waking moment shitting on every vocal advocate for Palestinians, dude. That's crazy. As a matter of fact, I did the exact opposite thing where I tried to fucking pull you off this ledge over and over again, both in private and in public correspondences. Those clips you used in the fucking context nuke, which is wild. Like, how do you clip something out of context in a conversation that you had with the person that you had a podcast with? This obsession with besmirching and smearing the reputation of every single person that has spoken out, that is in your orbit, or at least like in my orbit, you know, is probably the reason why a lot of people were just like, damn, dude, you fucking really love Israel. All right, I don't want to fucking work with you. Like, that's what's so wild about this entire thing. He now denies calling Jewish Voice for Peace collaborators.
Progress for people in Gaza. Zero. I'm gonna think about if I want to blast him or not. I mean, because like, it's not right. Like, you think you're being the good guy and shit. Like, you're just being a fucking bigot, bro. You're nothing more than a bigot. And also,
like, dude, people have a personal distaste for me even after liking me for years. People have a personal distaste for me. Must be anti-Semitism. You know? No, dude, is what you're doing with your platform. If what you're doing with your platform is entirely negative against pro-Palestinian voices, yeah, of course people are going to think you're fucking anti-Palestine. And I personally think that too. I do think that. I didn't used to think that, but I do now after a year of torrent of relentless fucking smears.
Also, just to not even dignify you with like a reasonable response. Just so short and fucking rude. What a bitch. Scumbag. Why would you blame someone for something because of where they were born? This is what racism is. But apparently it's totally fine all of a sudden.
Yo, this is crazy. It's like an American. It's like somebody saying, I don't want to work with you no more. I knew you were American. I worked with you in the past. But then I found out that you think Jim Crow and I don't know, slavery was justifiable. Yeah, that's not because you're American that person is saying they don't want to work with you no more. It's because of your current position. With Israel, Israel's been doing a relentless genocide on the Palestinians for 16 fucking months, nonstop. Hundreds of thousands dead. Every standing structure has basically been destroyed. Every fucking hospital in Gaza has been bombed by Israel at this point. Every school has been destroyed. And in that process, if you're like still defending any of those actions, or if your only commentary on the issue is to constantly smear people who do attack Israel, understandably, justifiably, and terror jacketing them, constantly claiming that they're terrorists and claiming that they're anti-Semitic, then yeah, people are gonna understandably go, okay, fuck this. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to work with you. Like this is ridiculous. It's not because you're Israeli or Jewish. It's because of your opinions. It's because of your perspective. It's because of your advocacy. And that is if that person said, I don't want to work with you no more because of your opinions on Israel. Because the reality of the matter is that person didn't say anything, it seems. I don't know the private correspondence, but it's wild.
They're so delusional that if they think if I'm not the person that you want to associate with, then good luck in the world. Because like I am as progressive, I left Israel. I don't even live there anymore. I should be your model Jewish person.
Like, why are you
I should
talking
be your
about it?
best friend.
Instead of addressing any potential reasons or questioning why this response was received, Ethan and Hila spun the entire situation into an attack against Hila for being Israeli, straight into playing the victim card when a situation doesn't suit them. Let's read what exactly the message said again. I'm sorry, I can't be associated with this company. Thanks for the consideration. Is it maybe possible the brand's rejection had nothing to do with Hila's nationality? Instead, it had everything to do with the growing controversy surrounding the H3 podcast and its declining reputation. Ethan has stirred up multiple public scandals. Companies are simply less interested in associating with that kind of baggage. Ethan and Hila have reframed themselves as victims, immediately jumping to the conclusion that this was purely because of discrimination of her Israeli identity.
As someone who's new here, why did Ethan Klein suddenly go down the anti-Palestine route hardcore? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I can only speculate. And my speculation is that he was at a moment of crisis where, as someone who had become more progressive over the years, he had cultivated an audience of very progressive people that also like to listen to goofs and gaffs and drama and shit. And they did not like what he was saying. They did not like what he was saying about Israel and his own personal fans, like people like Morgan, right? Like Frogan is used to be a fucking massive H3 stan. Do you understand? A fucking stan. It's probably embarrassing for me to reveal this about her now. And I'm sure she won't appreciate me saying this, but like literally a fucking H3 fucking stan. And when you're an H3 stan and the person that you actually enjoy the content of is just like putting the crosshairs on you and fucking beaming you into oblivion over and over again, and just like and calling you a fucking terrorist and you're seeing a torrent of Islamophobic nonsense in your replies over and over again. In that process, like, yeah, other people are going to see that and be like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? So many of these people that are constantly attacking Ethan are people that were in his fan base. Damn near the entirety. He is one of the OGs. He is one of the OGs of YouTube. And I think when all these people basically turned around and were like, yo, I don't fuck with this anymore. I think you're like super pro-Israel. This is, you're being like weirdly defensive over Israel, and you're constantly shitting on people who are pro-Palestine while simultaneously saying you're pro-Palestine. That just like caused him to lose his mind a little bit. And he was looking for a reason. Like, it can't be that people came to this conclusion on their own, responding to what his output was on this issue, it must have been someone else that was moving the scales, tilting the scales against him. That's why he kept saying like, oh, dude, why don't you control your chat? Why don't you control your chat? Your chat is like coming after me. Your chat is coming after me. Your chat is coming after me. And I told him personally, you're a clown and Asman owns you. Say goodbye to your Houthi friends. Thanks, chatter. Clockwork, baby. Not bots. These guys are not NPCs, okay? Anyway, the point I was making is that I told this to him straight up. I told this to him in private. I told this to him in public. I was like, if you keep saying stuff like this, that, you know, Michael fucking Rappaport and many other like ultra Zionists at the time were saying, then of course people are going to think that you're pro-Israel. And that's what happened. But instead of taking ownership over what he was saying, maybe going back and like reconsidering the way that he was Asmongold is a pedophile. He should be in jail. What the fuck? First of all, don't fucking say that. I never said that. You're baiting in here so you can get me to fucking say, yeah, that's true. So you can clip it, post it on Asmongold subreddit, and continue the fucking drama. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? I never said that, bitch. So smart, this guy. Ooh, he got me. Okay? Yeah. God forbid I post a meme after Asmongold fucking calls me a terrorist a million times over who deserves to be deplatformed. And then the one joke that I make, because he watches that fucking lolly YouTuber from the state of Texas where lolly might be illegal soon, you know? Anyway. God forbid I make a joke about that and all hell breaks loose. Comedy I thought was legal. What happened? Hold up. I thought comedy's legal now? No, it's not. It's illegal. Yeah, every time you respond with 1% of the energy, they get so mad, be it Ethan or Asman. Yeah. Oh, he apparently got really mad. Anyway, going back to what I was saying. You should watch that Asman video from the clip channel. I was the guy who called you out for that dumbass Asman tweet. He said it was he supported the law if they could implement it without misuse, which triggered the fuck out of you. And now fascist propagandist is telling a defamatory brothel narrative to millions of people for the first time in response. It's not the first time that he said that. And also, who gives a shit? It's fucking bullshit. I don't care. You are your own worst enemy. I like that you're in here again, coming in here to be like, dude, I was trying to protect you. Okay? Like, I post a fucking meme because Asmongold is not personally a lolly enjoyer, but he does watch a lolly fucking Gamergate YouTuber all the time. Something I've literally called him out for, by the way, in the past. And you turn around and he goes, yeah, this fascist propagandist is fucking saying that you went to a brothel. It's your fault. You're your own worst enemy. How about at a certain point you give ownership to Asmongold over what he's saying? Is he not a fucking adult? The fuck? Uh, 2009 account, goddamn. I didn't even know this website existed in 2009. That's crazy. Apparently, the only reason Ethan talks about you is because you do this and speak about him in any way. Yeah, totally. That's why I didn't ever talk about him for fucking months on end until he actively tried to get me and everyone else that was pro-Palestinian deplatformed.
identity, redirecting the audience's outrage into the abyss towards the unknown entity. According to Ethan and Ela, anyone who disagrees with Israel's actions is automatically an anti-Semite, ignoring the fact that political criticism and discrimination are not the same thing. This rhetoric is dangerous because it down all discussion and labels legitimate concerns as bigotry. Ethan and Ela are creating a culture where no one can question him without facing extreme backlash. They twisted the company's entire short message to the narrative that they are victims and Israeli, despite the reality. There is also a pattern that keeps repeating. Ethan keeps getting facts wrong. Ethan confidently presents something as fact only for it to be corrected, and instead of taking a moment to verify, his first instinct is to go on the attack. Rather than taking a correction with humility, Ethan's response is often aggressive. He insults the person.
I have decreed, let it be known, that Denims is a dumb fucking bitch.
Calls him names.
What a fucking lapdog you are. How pathetic can you be to fucking curl up on Hassan's lap like a good pussycat? Purr for him, bitch.
Then, after the barrage of insults, sometimes, not always, Ethan realizes he was actually wrong.
She is an ex-Destiny orbiter. In fact, it's rumored, I'm pretty sure that they had a sexual relationship. I don't know why I thought that. I swear I read that somewhere, but that's okay. My bad. Apparently she did not have sex with Destiny, although it... I spoke out of turn. She did not have sex with him. She was friends with him. She benefited from him. She did not have sex with him.
That is a fact.
So, I know I should apologize once again to Denims, the dumb fucking bitch that I hate. Just because I was wrong about her sleeping with Destiny, I spoke out of turn there, and I apologize for that, even though I despise her for every other conceivable reason. Is there anything else I should emphasize?
This kind of behavior has real consequences. Not everyone watches every episode, and by the time Ethan admits he was wrong, if he ever does, his audience may have already clicked off the video, missing the entire part where he confirms that he was incorrect after all. The person bashed is left dealing with the fallout. The reputation is stained, and many of Ethan's viewers will never even know that he got the facts wrong in the first place. When you have a platform as big as Ethan's, you have a responsibility to get things right. But instead, he repeatedly spreads false information, attacks those who correct him, and barely acknowledges when he's wrong.
You got got. You got there.
But I mean, like, ultimately, I still feel like it's not that material, considering, again, that she was nominated once and won.
Yeah, you used the wrong image. And you reversed the years, which, again, I do agree slightly makes it worse, the way that you presented it versus reality.
I disagree.
His audience, whatever he may have left, trusts him, but misinformation combined with aggressive responses to correction creates a toxic cycle where the truth often takes a backseat to entertainment. If you're going to critique others, you need to hold yourself to the same standard. Getting facts wrong happens, but how you handle corrections say everything about your integrity. The way Ethan treats his mistakes, especially when it involves publicly bashing innocent people, sets a dangerous precedent for how online discourse functions. Also, when he admits he was wrong, he always has to deflect by pointing out something he thinks the other person got wrong.
She was the victim of the crime of Atriarch and the recipient of my inappropriate joke, okay? My problem is with Ludwig being a spineless coward of a human being.
He can't just take accountability and leave it at that. And on top of that, he usually downplays the significance of his mistakes.
Do you think that's a meaningful distinction?
And what happens when someone responds to his Instagram stories and livestream content? He downplays what the person on the other end receives.
The timeline of events literally shows that you were unaware of the petty attacks. Me being a casual H3 watcher at the time, hadn't even known that there was beef since leftovers, merely disagreement. It wasn't until so much later that he started posting to Instagram that I realized what the fuck happened. His fans turned on him and he was apparently blaming you, all while the election was going on. Yeah. The point is, everyone else is at fault. It's ironic because it reminds me of that Tim Pool clip. This one, hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here, this.
Then I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man. You know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
This part.
It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
That's it. That's the consistent through line here. Like that's what it is. It's not that like people came to their own conclusions after hearing what he was saying and had disagreements with Ethan. It's actually, it must be Frogan. It must be it must be the creators that worked on Creators for Palestine. It must be Hassan. It must be every single other person. And it's ironic because then they fucking turn around and say like, oh, Hassan, you're obsessed with sex pestiny. You claim it's sex pestiny. When in fact, none of these other fucking people, especially someone like myself, rarely ever talked about Ethan at all. I spent an entire fucking year being like, I don't give a fuck about what Ethan is saying. He's not your enemy. Defending him over and over again. Okay? Defending him over and over again. And yet the entire time he thought I was like, secretly an anti-Semitic pilling his own fan base somehow. I was mind controlling his fans. I would yell at chatters actively. Tell them to shut the fuck up about Ethan. Ban chatters that constantly kept bringing Ethan up. Only until after the election and after he like consistently tried to get me deplatformed and did successfully deplatform a bunch of other content creators for the crime of saying Sabra Hummus is dog shit, which apparently he agrees to as well. Did I ever start talking about Ethan, and oftentimes to just like clear the air about the relentless, dare I say, vicious attacks from his fans that had no interest in this issue at all, but instead were, this is the video. I like this on TikTok as well. Here. For an entire fucking year, dude.
Ethan is a mega Zionist. You are wrong, okay? Trust me. I don't think you know many Zionists if you think Ethan is a mega Zionist. Not even close, dude. Time and time again, I've spoken about how Ethan is not your enemy. A person who cries when a Palestinian child dies is not your enemy. Okay? He's not. I've said these exact words over and over again. I told people in this community and people everywhere that will listen to what I have to say that you have to choose who you are actually angry at. There are people who are so loud and so proud about the ethnic cleansing campaign that Palestinians are experiencing currently. Go yell at them. He's been shitting on you on his members-only streams. I don't care. I don't care. Bro literally shot on you yesterday and his coworker for saying from the river to the sea, sorry, dog. I don't care. I do not care. This is petty drama, okay? I don't care. And neither should you, okay? I will always stand by Ethan's ability to empathize and want to learn and want to change his perspective, okay? That's it. Ultimately, Ethan has the capacity to arrive at a meaningful position because he has empathy for Palestinian people. He is literally better on this circumstance, this issue, than 99% of like Americans who are ultra-Zionists, okay? I'm not saying the entire country is ultra-Zionist, but like 99% of Americans in the media and 99% of Americans in position of power that literally are just like unconditional support to Israel. Shut the fuck up. I've always demonstrated that until it reaches a boiling point, that I will always be kind to those around me that I believe I can communicate with, that I can lead by empathy.
Sorry to say, but this age like milk. Yeah, big dog. Notice what I'm saying here. I will always show charitability to those who demonstrate empathy. I think the boiling point happened. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Okay? This has been my policy in perpetuity. You know this if you've been in here long enough. I fucking tried with Aiden Ross, okay? And Ethan is not Aiden Ross. I think he will inevitably come around. Ethan is my friend. I think he's an empathetic person, and I hope that here no one.
By the way, this got posted in H3 subreddit as a defense of Ethan. Wait, what? People don't understand that while this was happening, Ethan was shitting on me, and I was like completely unfamiliar. What the fuck?
like changing your perspective on an issue that is like near and dear to your fucking heart is virtually impossible. It's one of the hardest things you can do. I will forever have respect for him for doing that on his own. Okay, everything that people say cynically he did to like win favors with a larger crowd, fuck that. He did it on his own. You want to know why I know he did it on his own? Okay, you want to know why I know he did it on his own? Because look at the situation. He has family in Israel. He is like he's absolutely shaped. Like his worldview is shaped by this experience. And instead of just like writing off every single thing that people have said and very comfortably finding himself in the bosom of like Zionist sentiment, which he could have just as easily done. He could have just turned around and been like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm scared. These people are being anti-Semitic. And there is a lot of anti-Semitism that increases in times like this. That much is absolutely true. Instead of fucking turning around and being like, fuck that, he's like trying to tackle it head on and go through the internal conflict, that internal struggle that he feels with his own personal experience, with his own personal worldview and his morality and the way that he sees it from what he perceives as a completely hostile audience. And you need to, as a community, also stop fucking ripping into Ethan nonstop. As I've said it over and over again, leading up to the conversation that we had on this broadcast. You guys are so fucking stupid for doing that. You are. And it frustrates me to no fucking end. I've told you this time and time again in this time frame, just like I kept telling you, Ethan is not your enemy over and over again.
How does it feel to be wrong? No, I'm never gonna stop doing this, for the record. Like, this is a consistent position I've held for every single person. As long as they're like, I always think it's not okay. It doesn't give you brownie points or bonus points when you're fucking right ahead of time. Okay? Especially considering that the reason why I didn't want to fucking talk about Ethan at that time was because I was busy covering actual shit that was happening. And there was no reason to offer any fucking space to what Ethan Klein was saying. Also, I think you guys misunderstand, but like, his perspective did shift over this past year. He became a lot more outwardly supportive of Israel. I don't think you recognize that. There's two things that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to stop being charitable to people until they've shown me that they just don't care and that they're disingenuously doing everything in their power to come after me, my friends, people I care about, or issues that I care about from the opposite perspective. I don't think I was wrong for being charitable. You know? And I'm not going to stop being charitable to people, even if they're not charitable to me, until it reaches a boiling point, regardless. Because this community has grown to this size because of that principle. Because I actively try to explain to people that I understand where they're coming from. I understand what their initial positions are. And I understand the effort that it takes to make your own conclusions, to undermine your social conditioning from your development that you've taken for granted. So yeah, if you're demanding that I stop being charitable to people, you're wrong. It's not going to happen.
That's why I love iDubbbz, Ethan as well. People that have actually changed course, recognize their mistakes in the past, and now advocate against those sorts of things, I think are very valuable, because every single person has a reactionary perspective deep down inside on one issue. We are all totally susceptible to the intersectionality of privilege. Privilege causes us to have blind spots. Ethan is my friend. We may have disagreements every now and then, but I have maintained the position that his heart is always in the right place, and he's on a journey of learning. Every single day I went live in the beginning, every single day I would spend at least 5 minutes to 30 minutes talking about how Ethan is not your enemy. You should not yell at Ethan. Ethan is a good person. Be more charitable to those who are open and susceptible to your opinions. Every single day. I'm still friends with Ethan, by the way. I still talk to Ethan every day. Every single day. Throughout the stream. Just say Ethan is a fucking idiotic take. Ethan and I obviously have disagreements on this stuff, but Ethan has also personally said it isn't apartheid. What the fuck do you want? As a dude who did go on Birthright, he is infinitely more progressive than, you know, a lot of these people that are writing these fucking, a lot of these people that are writing these letters and
Ethan fans will watch this clip and not understand what changed without a shred of irony. And what changed in this process is his commentary, is his focus. If the only thing that you have to say about Israel is how mean pro-Palestinians are, then you're not fucking pro-Palestine. That's it.
shit, okay? Please stop fucking yelling about Ethan all the time. Jesus Christ. Time and time again, I told my adult community to shut the fuck up about Ethan. I even banned the mention of Ethan in this community, and I think still to this day, it is banned. The idea that I did not try to genuinely scale back the harassment that Ethan was experiencing is ridiculous.
How you do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist? You do PR for Ethan Klein, who's a Zionist. How can you tell her not to defend a Zionist when you defend Ethan Klein, who's openly Zionist?
Are you okay? Ethan Klein, Israel, an apartheid state in, I think, 2021. Okay? Ethan himself has been very critical of the state of Israel and has even called it an apartheid state far before October 7th.
That chatter was right. I was doing fucking PR for a Zionist. At that point, I didn't even know what his latest shit was. If you guys remember, at that, I think this is like basically the turning point, but like, I did not know why people were constantly fucking up Ethan's ass because I was not paying attention to what the fuck he was doing. But I think this is when he starts like talking a lot more about, this is when he starts like hammering at fucking pro-Palestinian advocates.
Okay? I personally don't even care if he's like calling me out or whatever. I heard that like people were saying that Ethan talked about me on his podcast today or some shit like that. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. For me, you know what I do care about? Ethan considering what Israel's doing to be genocidal far before October 7th. Okay? I do care about that. I think that that matters. Especially when he is so close to the subject matter. So close to the different aspects of social conditioning that play a pretty prominent role in the development of American Jews, who are very progressive people overall. Okay? I don't care. No matter what he says about me, my community, or my mods, I still firmly believe, okay? I still firmly believe that regardless of everything else, regardless of how he's responded to people yelling at him online, regardless of all of that, I place a lot more emphasis and a lot more value on those things that he has said. There's very real anti-Semitism directed towards him, directed towards Hila, directed towards Jewish people across the board, and that fucking terrifies him. And I think that there's a real element there. For a lot of...
Okay, the rest of this is clipped out of context. I think this is, at this point I'm talking about, this is clipped out of context because I remember this. I was talking at this point about how there's real anti-Semitism direct toward, but I think like he mistakes that with like the pro-Palestinian crowd.
And I think that there's a real element there. For a lot of Jewish people, especially, like, yeah, they see anti-Semitism rising. And if at any point do they actually associate criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism, and people like Dan Bilzerian play a fucking formative role in people assuming that all people who criticize Israel are just like him, they're like fucking Holocaust deniers or whatever, yeah, you're going to freak the fuck out. He's got Jewish children, you know what I mean? He doesn't want him to grow up in a fucking anti-Semitic country.
Yeah. I think this is where the last couple of ones where it's like, I'm figured out. What do you think it would take for Ethan to reform his perspective? It's just self-reflection. Anyway. Yeah, I'm always gonna be charitable. Oh, here it is. They actually cut so many parts out of it. Wait, this is a fucking, how long is this video?
Fucking Holocaust
This
deniers
is a
or whatever.
7-minute video. They took the 7-minute video and clipped certain parts of it and posted it in here in case H3 snarkers continue to call Ethan Zionist here. The few times Hassan even says Ethan is not a Zionist and is supportive of Palestine. Why wasn't this in the nuke? I see things every day that could easily debunk all the snark lies. Sorry for not getting passionate, law. I'm just sick of the BS. Oh my God. Hassan now calls Ethan a Zionist, but the funny thing is that Ethan hasn't changed his position at all since he multiple times said Hassan said he's not a Zionist. Was Hassan lying at one point, or does Hassan only hold whatever position that will benefit him at that particular time? Hassan calls him a Zionist now that it suits his narrative while defaming Ethan. Classy dude. These guys will literally never understand. They won't understand it. They're done, I think. See the November 1st, 2025 part? He cut the part where you say you'll be charitable until it reaches a boiling point. Dude, he denied the fucking Nakba. He said that the real harm during the Nakba, which was a planned mass ethnic displacement event against indigenous Palestinians conducted by early Zionist brigades, was not the main evil that took place, but instead was all of the Jewish people, sometimes voluntarily, other times individually, personally leaving the surrounding region. The surrounding region that is not Palestinian, by the way, just other Arab nations and North African nations to go voluntarily to Israel. He said that that was a bigger harm, a bigger evil than fucking the Nakba. I'm sorry. When you say stuff like that, you're obviously not fucking pro-Palestine. You're doing genocide revisionism. To me, it's like no different than being a Holocaust revisionist while it's currently ongoing.
I'm 100% against anyone calling CPS on YouTubers they don't like 48 hours after being harassed by Ethan Klein. Bitch, it's not harassment. Grow up. These people are so pathetic.
And as usual, expect twisting things around to make the other person look bad.
You choose to participate in a snark Reddit page with your name on it, and then it's a problem that Ethan points it out. I'm sorry, it's
He interviewed Bad Empanada, bro.
Disgraceful to participate in a snark. It is,
and I think it's
Ethan
disgraceful as a
is allowed to point it out.
And also,
and if that's too much for you, maybe get off the internet.
Right,
and
or at least
maybe don't work for a reputable company like Red and Link. You don't deserve to work there.
But Ela knows. Ethan did not only point out a Reddit post that speaks critical of Matt, he also posted this, and this, and this, and this, called him evil and a piece, and went on, making sure everyone and their mum has heard of where Matt works. Why did Ethan do this? Well, Ethan says it himself.
And I think he should be fired, frankly. And I hope he is fired because he's pathetic.
She would tell her friends to back off.
Isn't the whole point that you are saying difficult things, that you're taking the difficult stance? You're not it's not about going along with the crowd and being like, I hate racists, guys. Aren't we all the best? It's about actually fucking doing the right thing when it's difficult.
Yeah, no, you're right. Doing the right thing when it's difficult, as in join my mass harassment campaign against all of these creators that I want deplatformed for, one, being pro-Palestine, and then two, actively saying I'm out of my fucking mind when I claim that those people are all anti-Semitic and successfully deplatform them. It's wild. Why won't anybody else also join in on the fun here, guys? After all, this is all to combat anti-Semitism, which is why I'm going after people who are not anti-Semitic. Jesus Christ.
To do.
Yeah.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like not risking anything?
Ethan has faced criticism, sure. But let's not confuse criticism with actual systemic oppression. To equate someone disagreeing with your podcast the struggles of a marginalized group fighting for basic human rights shows.
Yeah. The least protected identity in America is not like, we're not even talking about Judaism or Jewish people who are marginalized, okay, who are a minority. There's a different kind of marginalization that takes place for sure in comparison to like black people, obviously. But having said that, no, the only group of people in America that are actively marginalized are people who are pro-Israel. Famous people who are pro-Israel are under attack, and we have to put a stop to this, please. Nobody ever wants to stand tall and stand proudly by the side of influencers who are pro-Israel. Why won't anybody think about at a time when pro-Palestinian getting their legal permanent residency revoked by the Trump administration? You know who's the real victim? Unimaginably wealthy fucking podcasters who are pro-Israel. That's who. Those are the people. Why won't anybody stand with the people that are basically channeling the exact same position of the State Department? It's like you got everything. You got everything you want. If I was winning so hard in terms of policy, if I had free health care for all unconditionally, if I was able to put a dent in American foreign policy, if I got all of my wishes from the government, I would not be fucking chirping that people don't like me. You know? It's crazy. It's crazy. You got everything you wanted, and you're still complaining because people don't like you. It's like, what the fuck do you want?
A serious lack of understanding. So here's the real question. Where does this end? How far does Ethan get to go before people finally say enough is enough? How many people will be harassed, misrepresented, threatened, or dogpiled before he's held accountable? Because at this point, it's not about defending himself. It's about controlling the conversation by any means necessary. And the longer this continues, the more obvious it becomes. Ethan Klein isn't fighting against harassment. He's weaponizing it. Thanks.
Yeah, this is a good video. Tommy Robinson, who's a well-known far-rightist in the USA and UK, is extremely pro-Israel. They've been embraced by, and Jewishness too. What the fuck is extremely pro-Jewishness? What the fuck does that mean? They've been embraced by those who in the past would have been prejudiced against them. Tommy Robinson is super pro-Israel, and he's a fucking massive, rabid Islamophobe, and a straightforward neo-Nazi. There are many people like Tommy Robinson. You know? Anyway, we're done with this bullshit. Hopefully. What? I can't